From the depths of a digital abyss, where truth drowns in a sea of clickbait and algorithms, a beacon ignites. From the heart of Badgerland, from our studios on State Street in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, it's John and Gordy on 92.7 WMDX.
WMDX 92.7. John and Gordy just singing along with the tune here. And we're apologizing now for that. We realize that it's probably really irritating.
And it's annoying. Yeah.
And annoying.
That's our old theme song from 30 or 40 years ago or 50 years ago.
Who knew?
Can't remember.
But it seemed to fit, the Media World show that we had on cable access.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. Boy, the thing is, we were tied in with radio stations and TV stations.
Yeah.
And at the time, we had a chance on cable access to invite everybody in from the media. Yeah. Any radio station, any TV show.
We were the neutral zone.
The neutral zone.
And we had TV weather people like Elmer Childress visit us. And
all the legends.
All these rock people, too. Marcus Bovary.
Mark and Beth.
And the Evil Twins and the Obros. And
Mark and Beth.
Mark and Beth.
Doug Moe.
Doug Moe. Yeah, they all.
We had the owner of Visions on a few times.
Yeah.
We had attorneys on.
And you can still see those old videos, right?
Yes, you can.
On your website?
We were one of the first to actually feature the Onion News.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Scott Dickers.
Yeah, we brought a few people in. We interviewed Scott Dickers, and we interviewed a couple of the reporters. These guys were really good. And they turned up a lot of different stories that most of the major media missed in Madison for some reason, but they had it there in the Onion.
Did we have Joel Despain on once? Or no?
I think we did.
I can't remember.
I think we did.
He went on from being a reporter to the police spokesperson for Madison Police for many years. Yeah, we had them all back then. Those were the weird old days of Madison.
I gotta say,
it was weird. What?
I gotta say,
Dom?
Do you know who made that opening theme music? Do you know who was the creator of that?
I don't know who that. Wait a minute. That was me.
I don't know. I don't know the
Don
lore
doesn't
enough.
know.
I don't know the lore enough. I gotta.
I did that when I used to play rock guitar and worked out of a recording studio in Boscobel that no longer exists.
Oh, but, no. That's too bad. It's not a legendary legend.
Jamie moved it to Reedsburg.
Like a museum.
He still has a recording studio, and he has all the old tapes.
Yeah, he does.
Too.
He has the master.
Wow. Yeah.
That's what we're playing now, the master.
So, that was a long time ago. For us, everything was a long time ago. Grandpa. Okay. What a beautiful day. Downtown Madison, State Street looking pretty fine.
Oh, yeah.
A few light clouds off in the distance. We might even get some rain, I guess, later this afternoon or mid-afternoon. Right now, 63 degrees, and we should get into the low 80s today.
Well, it's
all right.
That's a call
what is your
for
Samsung
my
watch?
Samsung watch.
WMDX
8:38 sunset time, just in case you were just kind of curious.
Yeah.
Setting your clocks and alarms to that.
I'll be in my gazebo with
Okay.
a refreshment or two.
Again,
Yeah.
63 degrees currently on my watch, and 85 predicted high today, and 67 predicted low temperature. But even though the temperatures are about that right now, it's still a little warm out there.
It's a little.
The humidity and dew points are a little high up there.
Yeah, and again, we have about a 20 to 40% chance of rain this afternoon.
That's a pretty good chance.
Keep an eye on that. Yeah. A little bit later on today, we'll talk to Jim Santel, attorney at law.
Oh, boy, do we have a lot to talk about.
Oh, boy.
The thing is, it's not as many cases, but what we're really worried about is the long-term effects of some of the decisions that they've made.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all bracing for a completely clearing out of the U.S. government. I mean, that's what's in store.
Apparently.
I'm waiting for this. I think right now Trump is distracted with just about everything. 2 or 3 items just blow his mind.
Well, that's
so.
Yeah.
He's stumped.
He looks stumped most of the time. He doesn't look well.
He
really
doesn't. You see, he kind of sits there and absorbs and listens to people and reacts, but he doesn't really project any ideas or details to any policies that he's putting in place.
He slowed down a little bit.
In fact, we have a cut, I think, a little bit later on where he was asked, well, how did you come at that decision? And
oh, boy.
it was the worst possible answer you could ever get to. Oh, here's the thing, and I'm going to mention this later during that story, but just for those listening early and don't get to listen in our second hour, Jen Psaki. I didn't like her at first. She had a rough start.
Yes, she did.
But I'm noticing a pattern with Jen Psaki.
Yeah, she's getting better.
She is not only, just kind of reporting the hot items, but she has a wry sense of humor about all of them. And she's actually presenting, this is what I think, she's presenting the absurdity of government at this point. And I've got this great piece. Now, it's a little long. I don't know if I'm going to play the whole thing, but she makes comparison after comparison after comparison of what Trump is doing to the reaction of the press and the reaction of what people think about his policies. And it is absolutely gold.
Yeah, she's finding her wheelhouse now.
Yeah,
she's finally gotten comfortable, and she was press secretary for Biden, right?
Yeah.
Or Obama.
Obama.
Okay, I think.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I thought she was.
We're
Biden.
really old
it doesn't
now.
Matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Maybe it was Biden.
Okay.
Initially. Right?
Yes, maybe. Anyway. We'll do our research department will look into that. Tom?
The research department will be texting us very soon here.
Google. Yeah.
I'm looking into it now.
Okay. And of course the other breaking news overnight.
Oh no!
God, get ready.
I know.
Just sit down for this one.
I know.
It's just too good. It's too good. There's word from NASA.
Yeah.
John.
Yep.
Tell us, NASA.
Well,
guess who the new
interim
administrator?
The
interim
administrator for NASA.
They have rockets and stuff.
It's going to be Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy.
Sean Duffy's taking on another responsibility.
Oh my God!
I think he's in charge of 6 departments now. Jeez.
What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
I don't know why. We got that call from CJ who couldn't hold on yesterday.
Yeah.
But I wanted to know if he's changed his mind about things. I mean, you can drink the Kool-Aid so long, you can be a cult member for so long, and then suddenly you're just saying, oh my God, this can't be happening.
Yeah,
I can't keep making excuses for these guys.
I know. But, so congratulations,
yes.
Sean Duffy. Our hats off to you. And he had some statement.
He did have a statement. I jotted it down.
Did you? Go ahead.
This is his mission statement. Let's launch. Oh, God.
It ain't rocket science.
Oh, God.
It's Sean Duffy.
This is truly the onion. This is the onion.
Yeah, it just doesn't get any better than this. We're also going to be checking in just a few minutes, in about 15 minutes, with Tim Slecker from Busted Pencils, and get all the latest about education. He's going to educate us.
Well,
right?
I want to ask him about the dual enrollment we talked about yesterday. Where you have classes in high school, but they also apply to credits in college.
Right.
And there was they're disproportionately located in areas where white affluent people get these dual enrollment programs, but the poorer areas don't get them. And I pointed out that this is a great example of why banning DEI is a bad idea, because now we can't spread this out to the lower income areas where they actually have dual enrollment as well. They don't have as many of those programs. So now they can't improve on it. They can't actually make it happen because it would be helping minority people out, and we can't have that anymore because we don't have those. Actually, we don't have those problems. I don't know why I'm even thinking there is a problem like that.
It's not a problem.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to ask Tim about that, and also Tim and Johnny are talking a lot about AI. And that is one big issue, and we'll be getting to that. I have an idea on AI, by the way, so now I'm going to present it to Tim and see what he has to say about it.
Okay.
All right, now let's get to the big program item here.
Yes. The
Juvenile Corner.
Yeah, what do we got here from from Dom this morning. We have what's not worse, what's better, what is it?
Would you rather?
Would you rather think this is worse?
Would you? Yes. It's would you rather. Let's get this intro.
Man, I'm gonna workshop this name. I can't. What is it again?
It's would you rather. Here it is.
Would you rather? Okay.
Would you rather?
Would you rather? Okay, take it away, Dominic Lee.
Would you rather?
Sorry, I got
a little more reverb on that.
Cowbell. More cowbell.
More cowbell.
All right. First question: would you rather listen to an annoying laugh for a whole day, or get tickled for an entire hour?
Tickled, I guess.
I hate getting tickled, especially on my side. I can't get tickled.
Yeah.
I'd rather listen to that annoying laugh for the entire day, 24 hours.
Yeah, human touch is not something I'm used to anymore. So I would go with the laughter. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Okay. Right. Question number two.
Would you rather?
That was a cry for help.
That sounded like that was.
I don't know.
It's okay. Right. We're going to brush by that. Would you rather have no eyelashes for the rest of your life, or your butt cheeks pierced? Which one would you rather have?
Eyelashes? I don't think I have them now.
Yeah, eyelashes.
You don't have eyelashes?
Get rid of the eyelashes.
I don't know. I think I burned them out when I was lighting joints in the old days.
Yeah, yeah,
they never grew back.
Yeah, eyelashes and eyebrows are gone. Yeah.
Yes, I would rather have my butt cheeks pierced. All right, question number 3.
What?
Really? Wow.
No, we got to probe deeper into that.
I think this might also be a cry for help, too.
Yeah.
All right.
Really? You'd rather have your butt cheeks pierced together?
I feel like it wouldn't hurt that much. It's a lot of soft tissue down there.
I think we got to look at some of these questions because it says a lot about you, Dom.
All these questions are pertaining to me.
Yeah, we need to preview these for a minute.
Okay. Third and final question. Would you rather grow a ponytail down to your ankles or have a massive Adam's apple? I'm just thinking about the scenario here.
Oh, no.
I would like a ponytail down to my ankles. I want to be tangled. I feel like that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The Adam's apple, that would be very awful.
Just look.
You could roll up the ponytail.
Yeah, you can.
Look, there's another misspelling under. Whoever spells for CNN, the graphics, can't spell missing.
Yeah, it's Mizing after Texas floods.
Who works overnights at CNN? Do they not have a spell check thing on their Chiron? God.
It's the chaplain for the United Cajun Navy.
I didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either.
Cajun Navy.
I think they need a leader. Sean Duffy's available, I understand.
He's not doing anything else. Okay. We got a text in here from Doug. You can text us on the Civic Media app, which, of course, is always free to download and free to use. Doug texts in, John and Gordy join the Manosphere update. He's been trying to get us in the Manosphere.
That's join the Manosphere program that we have.
Yeah. He says, your live broadcast from the Harley-Davidson Homecoming is tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Well, this is late notice for us. You need to ride in on motorcycles. The motorcycles need to be Harley-Davidsons.
Well,
how are we going to do that?
Works that way. Well,
thanks,
you,
Doug,
for setting that up.
We appreciate that. Just getting started on a, Thursday morning. John and Gordy in the morning. Coming back in a moment.
Mary Jane, take me away from all this. Mary Jane, take me away
That might be the best advice, yeah.
Right.
a new name.
WMDX, John and Gordy. This is 92.7 if you're listening on car radio.
Right.
Over the airwaves. You can also check us out digitally on your phones with our app, the Civic Media app, and text us as well and voice note us. We'd like to get more of those. You know, it's new technology for us old people, but a lot of young people have been using it extensively. So
Have they?
prove us wrong.
All right. This portion of the show brought to you by Madison Hearing Aid Center. They're at 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison, and they emphasize passion over profit and convenience over complexity. They're helping people change their lives. Their number one goal isn't just selling hearing aids, it's improving the quality of life through better hearing. Madison Hearing Aid Center. And again, they're at 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison. Check out their excellent website, madisonhearingaidcenter.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. And don't forget to check out our website, WMDX Radio. We've got some great things happening there. You can sign up for a pizza party with us and Sugar River Pizza. We're getting ready to draw the first winner here any day now, and you can still enter, though. Just go to our website, WMDXradio.com. It's brought to you by Sugar River Pizza and WMDX. And, of course, Sugar River Pizza is also up for Best of Madison, as are we,
Yes.
John and Gordy.
Yes. We don't know what's going on with that.
We won't find out the results for, I don't know, a few weeks, a couple of months. They don't really tell you until they're done counting the votes.
We haven't heard back from the person on the inside.
We're waiting.
Moving this thing along.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got somebody over there we know, right?
Yeah, tweaking the.
Yeah, do you
tweaking
really
the
know
votes just
anybody?
a little bit.
Okay, anyway, just go to WMDXradio.com, sign up for the pizza party. We'll come to your workplace or office with a bunch of pizzas and have a good time with John and Gordy and Sugar River Pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
What?
you know, I
What are you
mean,
thinking?
we're riding their coattails. I understand that
Yeah.
we've been accused of riding the coattails.
Well, they've
Sugar
won
River
Best of
Pizza.
Madison for their pizza.
Yeah.
At least a couple of years, maybe more.
Well,
I
it's
think they
our
won
way
it.
to to get back on the pizza bandwagon again, because we were heavily into pizzas at one time. So
That's right. That's right. The pizza bandwagon is calling our name.
So now we're going to keep in
Well-
that mode, and we're going to be delivering pizzas.
It was
and
always fun in
enjoying
the old
pizzas
days to
with
do this.
everybody.
Yeah, and I think people, are going back into the office
Yeah.
places around downtown Madison and East Side and West Side, and we want to join you with a bunch of pizzas and
Yes.
have a good time. So enter the contest.
Well, I can't
Okay?
wait for that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right.
I accidentally ran across a video of how they make Teslas, and it was, I don't know whether it was sponsored by Tesla or not,
No.
but it left a few things out as they were showing us the robotic assembly of Teslas. And it's really almost all robotic, but they didn't have like a primer when they painted the cars. They didn't say anything about primer. They just started painting. I'm thinking, wait a minute, don't you have a primer in it all?
A primer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't. In Teslas, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do that?
Well, I don't know. Well, they must.
Okay.
Unless they rust out quickly later on. I don't know. I don't own a Tesla. My neighbor has two of them, white and a black one. So.
Yeah. I see them around quite a lot. Yeah. There's quite a few of them around
I'm in the
Madison.
market for an EV.
Yeah. You are.
I think
You're thinking of Tesla?
tomorrow. I think I'm buying an EV. Yeah.
A Tesla?
No.
Oh.
It's
What do you
called.
want?
It's a Kia EV6, and it's very high tech, and it's really loaded up. It's actually the EV6 Wind. That's what they call it, the Wind, and it's a tech package. I didn't know that, but I was attracted to the fact that all of these tech items are included with it, including blind spots, which I love. If you're making a right-hand turn, camera comes on, and shows you that area of the turn where you're going to go, and it's shows the sidewalk, it shows the crosswalk and everything, and you can see whether anybody's there, so you don't accidentally hit them. If you're making a right turn, because that happens a lot in this town.
Does it have a self-driving mode or no?
It almost does. We were told how to do this, and what you do is you have it on and you're driving along. You have to accelerate, though. But you can stay in the lane. It reads the lane. So you don't have to hold the steering wheel when you're on like the Beltline or the freeway.
Lane
it just
assist,
stays it. Yeah. So it's really great stuff. I love this thing, and I might just walk away with one on Friday. So yeah, unfortunately, it's a red. It's a red one. I wanted the black one. I wanted a black one. I don't want a red car.
You look like you belong to the fire department driving around. Come on. Really?
Yeah,
red?
yeah. But
don't they have it? Okay.
I know. We had our eye on a black one here in town, but it was overpriced at one of the dealers. So. I was gonna show them the actual price of a car that's similar to it, exactly similar to it.
Right.
But I decided not to. The hell with them. If they don't want my business, that's fine. The only reason I'm buying this, by the way, is because of the rebates.
The big rebates.
The rebates come to an end on September 30th.
Okay.
So you get a $4,000 rebate for a EV that is under $25,000.
Wow.
So it's a used EV.
How much again?
$25,000 is a cutoff point. If it's under that, then you can get the $4,000 rebate.
Right.
Okay. And then, of course, if you're buying new, there's a $7,500 rebate. But you got to get in on it by the end of September. And that's the only reason I'm getting it. I want to save $4,000.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Well, keep us posted. And we'll have to take a picture of it. Drive it in. And
I feel like our current car is like the Flintstones cars, where we're pedaling our feet on the ground now, comparing it to this EV that I was in. I was like,
pretty cool,
like in the future all of a sudden.
Wow. 29 past the hour. When we return, we'll talk to Tim Slecker from Busted Pencils on John and Gordy in the morning.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
So how's it going?
Yeah. Hey.
Great. Hey, awesome.
Yeah, I'm wondering, have you guys got a topic for the Saturday show yet? Or
Yeah, actually, we do. Great program up in western rural Wisconsin. CISA 4. We interviewed a superintendent, part of a team called Lift Offs, where they're doing some incredible stuff with AI and actually showing that 8th grade students can finish 8th grade math before 8th grade's over.
Oh, excellent. Cool. That's really good. Yeah.
And let me just check something here. Hang on a second. Are your headphones sounding really trebly?
No.
No?
No.
I'm going to okay, go ahead, you guys. I'm going to change headphones here.
All right. Yeah. The other, something happened to my volume.
Really?
You must have knocked it down there. Okay, 1, 2. All right. The other thing I heard on your program, you're talking about AI. I got an idea.
Okay.
For AI. Okay. And also, there was a story about dual enrollment.
Okay.
In Wisconsin, and they're finding out that in many areas it's doing just fine. It's being offered, but in some areas, low-income areas, it's not really an option.
Right.
And my observation is, and this is why I want to talk to you about it, is that because of the anti-DEI movement, you can't improve. You can't get dual enrollment in these areas, because if you did, you would be performing DEI.
Oh my God! Yeah, we can't.
Because it's not. They're finding out it's not equitable. I mean, they need to have this, statewide, and everybody has this ability to have dual enrollment, and now they can't expand it to places that are not getting enough of it or at it at all. And that's one of the things I want to get to.
Yeah, good stuff.
All right,
For
I'm going
sure.
to turn your guys'
All right.
All right.
We can change the world. Rearrange the world. It's time to get better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. WMDX, John and Gordy in the morning. A beautiful day in the capital city, Madison. State Street looks clean as a whistle out there.
Yeah, there's some joggers out there this morning. They're having a good time. We've got partly cloudy skies, 63 degrees, highs in the low 80s, maybe some light rain this afternoon or a pop-up thunderstorm.
We have Bob reacting to our discussion about EVs, the possibility. I'll have one on Friday. He said, I bought a Chevy Equinox EV. I love this car. But there's, it's so great. You hit the accelerator and it just goes. You're not waiting for the pistons to kick in and all this stuff we normally take for granted.
Thank you for that text, Bob, from Akanakamawac or Akanamawak.
I think that's, there it is. That's the correct way of saying it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, you got something there, Gordy?
I got a cough. Hang
okay. It's important to get that out.
Yeah, I know. This portion of the show brought to you by Verlo Mattress. And they still have their sale going on, but this could be the last couple of days here.
Uh-oh.
Stand by. Those adjustable bed frame bases are still at unbelievable discounts of 30 to 50% off. You can experience next level luxury with the V9, John. The V9,
wow, the V9.
adjustable frame bases. Yes, you can save a generous $200 on the V9. So ask for that.
Now I'm getting an EV6,
right?
I can move up to the V9.
You could possibly. I don't know how that would work, but okay. Verlo Mattress, East Side and West Side. Go to Verlo.com for more information.
All right, let's go to Dr. Tim Slecker right now from Busted Pencils. You can check out their program and podcasts. And do you have an adjustable bed frame?
I don't
Not
know.
yet.
I don't
really
know.
cool.
I don't know if I'm qualified to take that. You know.
It takes a lot of training, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're talking. What is that? Volume 9 or something? Like
Yeah, it's a V9.
A
V9.
yeah.
I'm. Last I checked, I'm only at V2.
Right. Well, you got to get updated.
Man.
Well, you know, after your V8, you go into the V9.
But-
Turn the volume knob up to 11. And
There
have
you
a good
go.
time.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Well, okay. You know, so many things to get to, but your recent podcast is talking about AI again and teaching it in the classrooms. And it was a fascinating discussion with you and Johnny, but something occurred to me when you're talking about AI and introducing it into the class and how to teach it and, you know, just where to go with it. I was wondering if we couldn't not regulate it, but have an accredited AI source for education, right? I mean, you have maybe credible people who put out good AI material, right? A good AI bot. But you have then Elon, who is influencing his AI bot dramatically, and it almost sounds like him at this point. So you really, it brought to mind that maybe you can't trust some of the developers of AI equipment.
Well, come on. I mean, that's what we do on Busted Pencils. If you're using AI, it's the Busted Pencils accredited AI stuff.
There you go. That's exactly it. Yep.
I mean, if we're talking about it, yeah, where do you go for what you're talking about is the sources that
the source of
you
AI.
know, and like curriculum, right? The idea even of a teacher, you know, when they teach and there are materials to pull from, where are those materials coming from? Have they come from an approved source? And you know, in one way, there have been some schools that have said, you know, let's just talk about regular curriculum. They've said, you know, teachers, you cannot use anything other than district-approved curriculum sources. So, you know, you can't go out to the internet and find sources. You can't bring in your own reading materials or things like that because, you know, the only sources that are approved are from the district. And so there's some sense of saying, okay, so then these must be, I guess, legit sources, and we can use them. The problem, though, with that, John, and I'll point this out, is that, you know, what you're doing in that sense is saying we don't trust teachers to make decisions about using and what types of content to bring into their classrooms because, you know, I mean, those teachers, they'll bring in some kind of woke DEI indoctrination tool, and then next thing you know, we'll have a bunch of second-grade communists.
Exactly. or I think it's as Elon called his now, it's Mecha Hitler. That's what Grok said he was.
Well, you know, I mean, Grok. No, I mean, seriously, whether it's AI, whether it's bringing in, you know, a YouTube video with, you know, a clip from, you know, a famous historian addressing something dealing with the Lincoln assassination, you know, how do we determine what is quality? I think what's happening with AI and what you're pointing out, though, is that it really has, there's a different level here because I could, if I'm a skilled AI user, I could use AI to create really incredibly looking documents, curriculum materials that appear to be accredited or even, you know, original source material with deep fakes and things like that, and showing students possibly, you know, Abraham Lincoln in a, you know, a new video appearance that had been lost for years. And here's Abraham Lincoln speaking for the first time live or, you know, on the internet. And so, yeah, okay, you got me flummoxed a little bit on this one.
I'm just thinking that AI is trained in a certain specific way, and if it's trained with only educational materials, then that would be a great source for schools, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but if it's something that's used a lot of different sources, especially like movie sources, that like with an Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I believe.
Yeah.
It was. So you don't want that part of Lincoln's history anymore.
Yeah.
But if it's trained with only educational materials,
right,
then that may be a way to have it accredited or some kind of source that you can trust for your classrooms, right?
Well, I mean, you are seeing that occur right now. I mean, a lot of the major curriculum companies are dabbling in AI, and so in that sense, there's a trust level that you're doing. One of the biggest teacher and student use tools, there's actually two right now. It's Magic School Bus AI. And that teachers are using that quite frequently in students, and the material there, you get some kind of a level of trust. And the other one is from the Khan Academy, Conmigo, which is the Khan Academy's AI. And so those are really, where you say trusted sources of AI content, AI generated material, AI interfacing. Because that's the thing with AI though too, right? You're not just going to AI to find sources. You can be using AI to create sources. So it's a combination of saying, okay, what are the best tools for creating content to teach kids, and then where are we getting the best content, and how do you know whether or not you should trust that content? So it's a great question, but I would also say before AI, and myself as a teacher, yes, I would use the district approved curriculum. But then I would also find stuff to supplement and or enhance that curriculum on my own as a teacher who was certified by the state that I was working in, and therefore qualified to make curriculum and material decisions. And I think that's something we really want to continue to hold on to, because that's the difference of what it means to be a professional, is having that autonomy to make those types of decisions.
Right. Now, aren't there two organizations that represent teachers?
Well, I was going to say, so they're breaking news. I don't know if you're referring to this, but actually, AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, it's not that anymore. AFT, Randy Weingarten, big announcement this week, and it's something that we're hopefully going to be covering on Busted Pencils in the future. They are on board with approving AI. When I say approve, they're working with AI to address what you're talking about, John.
Yeah.
This sense of saying, is there an authority behind AI? And AFT has gotten into that, and we've had Randy Weingarten on the show before, and so we're asking her to come on to actually talk about what does it mean for AFT to be doing some type of an endorsement of AI.
Well, that's good that they're on board. I know that I think it's Bill Gates and American Teaching Federation, I believe. Is that it? They're getting together, I believe.
Well, I mean,
for AI.
Bill Gates has been saving education for like 39 years now. So, he eventually one day will solve the education problem. We know.
Okay.
How has he been saving it? I mean, what?
No, he has for the longest time, whether truly genuinely concerned about educational attainment or really meddling from the sense of going, I alone can fix this. Yeah. Whether it's been Microsoft enhanced materials and or doing a lot with the Gates Foundation money, putting out money in grants out there to steer American education in a certain direction. And, some of it has not been all that successful. And a lot of people have said that a lot of this money has been really directed towards moving education in a way that very much resembles what Bill Gates himself thinks is important, as opposed to a public school system and a community and a democracy making those decisions. So there's a fear of a rich potential oligarch taking control of American education.
Yeah. And that's what I was worried about. I know that the other teaching organization was more on the conservative side, or at least has been known to be more conservative. And Bill Gates helping them out with AI, I thought was kind of an odd combination. Well, not an odd combination, probably an assumed combination.
But you've forgotten, though. I mean, if it's a conservative organization, and they deserve a leg up, because that's the type of DEI we support.
Absolutely,
right
yeah. It's a balanced approach to everything. We got to have more of that conservative thought in our schools, because it's just not enough there. And as we know, Linda McMahon is promoting
A1 sauce.
A1 sauce first,
For
and then
everybody.
of course, introducing more conservative thought, which is DEI for them.
Yeah. Hey, you can't ever get enough A1.
Steak sauce for everybody. Okay, 6:48. We will continue.
At least the places I buy meat are going to need A1 sauce.
Back with more with Tim Slecker on John and Gordy in the morning.
Want to get into the dual enrollment thing?
Either that, and do a little preview for Saturday's show.
Why don't we do the preview for your Saturday show, and then I'll just bring up as an additional thing the dual enrollment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And just in case you got, I don't know if here's the website for the team that we're working with. So we talked to Superintendent Mike Bigley from Whitehall School District.
All right.
They are doing some pretty amazing stuff. And in fact, there's a whole team there, and we're going to be kind of covering their whole team of rural schools that are doing cool stuff.
Okay, and that's in Whitehall, right?
Whitehall, yep.
All right.
And seriously, the 8th grade math, it was one of those things that we got to doing, and they were able to finish 8th grade math before 8th grade was over.
That was cool. My kid did something like that here in Middleton. But math is like one of those things. If you can get a head up on it, if you can get ahead on that's the best way to do it, to get it done.
Yeah, what they're doing though too is this sense of going, okay, school, 6 hours a day, 45 minutes for each subject, and curriculum at the pace of the book delivery method is. Why do we do that? When if we actually gave kids a personalized, and this is where they're embedding AI, a personalized approach, and let kids work at the rates and work together, what they are having up in western rural Wisconsin is that kids are engaged, they like school, they're doing more, they're doing better, and they enjoy school.
Yeah, that's the big deal. Yeah.
All right, I'm turning you guys' mics off.
Okay.
right here. WMDX, John and Gordy, 92.7, and on your Civic Media app as well. You can get us anywhere in the world, including up north.
Anywhere.
Yeah, just anywhere when you think about it.
Clouds are kind of thickening up here this morning over State Street and downtown Madison. Cloudy skies now, and temperatures in the low to mid 60s will climb into the low 80s by this afternoon. Maybe some spots of rain or possibly a couple of thunderstorms later.
All right.
Okay.
We're talking to Dr. Tim Slecker from Busted Pencils. And I do want to mention, if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever you can watch it, Tim has pencils poked through his head.
Yes, it does look like that, doesn't it?
What I think is that, did you do that intentionally?
It's true.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it looks perfect.
That
Hey.
is really perfect, man. I don't know if you did that purposely.
No.
Did you do that purposely?
No, but as you're saying that, I'm like, okay, let me move my head a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit to
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, we need a screenshot of that. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, why don't we get to, we don't usually do this, but let's promote your Saturday program. It's a whole hour long.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a really interesting show this Saturday.
Yeah, it's a great show. We have been, in touch with, in fact, this started with a CISA 4 director, Brittany Waltz. We had originally had her on the show for some unique things that CISA 4 up in western rural Wisconsin was doing with AI. She turned us on to, in fact, they have a whole team up there, and they're called Liftoffs, LIFTOFFS. Liftoffs, and their website's liftoffslearning.com. And we talked to one of the founders of this program, superintendent in the Whitehall School District, Mike Bigley, about the work they're doing. And it is something, you gotta listen, you gotta hear what's going on there, because what they're doing is truly groundbreaking, something that needs to be highlighted, actually, celebrated. And because they are in a rural district, to me, breaking out of the old restraints of schooling, which is this kind of Carnegie unit seat time. You do 40 minutes of math, you do 50 minutes of this. Yeah. And they're saying, hey, look, as early as kindergarten, we're starting kids on a personalized learning journey. They're using artificial intelligence as one of their tools, and they're God forbid, but they're letting the students work well, or work a lot together, and going at rates that work with the students themselves. And he pointed out this great success story in 8th grade, the math curriculum. Every one of them, all the 8th graders finished the 8th grade math curriculum before the school year was over. And then they decided, hey, guess what? Since we have all this extra time, they introduced algebra early. And what's pointing out is that saying, you know what, hey, this whole idea of 25 kids in front of you taking a curriculum and being paced at the rate of, hey, we have to keep them for 45 minutes. It's an artificial constraint, and that's the word that Mike Bigley really uses, is that what we're doing with liftoffs and the partner schools up there working, taking away the constraints of schooling and empowering education. And they're using AI as one of those tools to really kind of promote this personalized learning. And what's awesome here is that this is in rural Wisconsin, typically where they try to tell schools, hey, you can do without, do less or do more with less. Yeah. They're up there going, you know what, here's the deal. We're going to do more with less, truly, and we're going to blow the socks off of the rest of the world, because our kids are awesome, and we're going to give them an awesome opportunity. So focusing on what's happening up there, incredible. I mean, if you listen to Mike Bigley talk to Johnny and me on Saturday, you can understand why such amazing things are going. And what kind of connects this is that Ashley Furniture, local Wisconsin company, they're fully involved in supporting Mike Bigley and Liftoff's team. So what we really like about this is a Wisconsin story, rural Wisconsin, and the things they're doing really should be in. I'm sorry, a national media spotlight. And if anybody's listening, go, boy, that sounds like. Remember the 2-hour AI school that we had talked about?
Right.
Okay, they're doing that in that sense. They're saying you can do more, but they're not charging $40,000 a year per student. They're showing that in a public school, in rural public schools, when you take away the constraints of old thought processes, things about kids and how they learn and what they're supposed to do, you too can actually do a lot more with kids, keep them fully engaged, empower them, and all in a public school setting, as opposed to a really unique private school setting. So you can tell. I think it was an awesome show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, we'll definitely have to check that out. And I just read where all these new devices that are coming out, the phones, web browsers are all coming out now with AI. So the browsers are going to contain AI, and it's good to train children on AI so they know what to expect.
Yeah. That's it.
All right, Tim.
Dr. Tim Slecker, thanks for joining us. You can listen to Busted Pencils with new podcasts on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Saturday on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Yep.
We'll be back. Thank you, Tim.
Tim's holding the pencils in his head.
To his skull. Okay.
See you guys.
All right.
All right. So long. Back with more of John and Gordy in just a couple minutes. It's a great look, actually.
Yeah, it really is. You got to do that all the time.
You like it?
Here's the thing, a lot of those rural districts, they're a lot of them combine with other school districts due to money problems.
Well, that's one of those things that it's like, okay, for the longest time we tell rural, truly, do more with less. And what we also were saying on the show is we don't want this to be, to stand up and go, hey, guess what? We can give them less now and they'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
To me, what this story points out is going, guess what? If you actually gave them just what they need, but even maybe more, just think of how much more they could be doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Tim.
Tim.
Later.
See you,
Thanks,
Tim.
guys. Have a great weekend.
Yep, you too.
Can you is there a way to check what's on WGBW's instead of right now they're in news. Yeah, everybody goes top of the hour news. But when they come out, I'm going to try and listen on the app a little bit. Yeah. I'm wondering if Kreitlow is on in Green Bay now.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Yeah.
They wouldn't put us in a place. Kreitlow in Milwaukee doesn't make any sense to me.
I know.
All right. Well, whatever, Northern, southern Wisconsin.
I
I mean, I love
have
the
a
show,
feeling they're not done yet.
but we're kind of southern Wisconsin feel as opposed to a northern Wisconsin feel. I mean, I know it because I lived in Milwaukee and I moved here, and there's really not much difference between the thinking. When you're in this part of the state, you don't really think of going up north, except for maybe, a vacation of some sort. But you never think about it. it doesn't occur to you. I didn't even, think. I never thought about Madison actually. Yeah. So. Well, I can't either.
That's a shocker because they were pretty entrenched there, and former mayor, and they're both really well connected in Green Bay,
and they're fun with what they do.
They do a good show, and they're
I don't know. Okay, we're gonna have some fun here.
Oh.
I want to get the Daily Show. They do a little takeoff on Epstein. Okay.
Okay.
And then I'm going to get to, hold on, let me look at something here.
These are the times that try men's souls. In the course of our nation's history, the people have rallied bravely whenever the rights of man have been threatened. Today, a new crisis has arisen. Citizens, hear me out. This could happen to you.
People think I'm controversial, but the truth is, I'm a nice guy. And we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
I'm upset, outraged, and angered.
Everything you said was all a lie?
What I say is what I say.
Yeah.
Okay, I want a goddamn concerted effort. This is a last damn time. I want somebody to use his brain.
This is a job for
John Peterson.
And Gordy!
Young.
You're from the 60s.
I will tell you, this is going to be something special.
Just a show about nothing.
I don't have any answers for you. I don't give interviews. I just want to be left alone.
Ponderous. Ponderous.
Could be that way.
always
Every once in a while.
ponderous.
WMDX 92.7 on your radio dial, and you can check us out on the app as well. Please, please, please text us if you'd like, or voice note us, and we'll be entering the 21st century upon doing that. We're looking out over State Street here in the capital city, and it's amazing. You know, we just went through the whole budget negotiation process.
Yeah, right up the street.
And not one of those damn legislators walked down State Street into our offices to say, "Hey, I've got something for you." An exclusive, John and Gordy.
Nope,
that didn't happen.
They avoided us. Yeah. Well, 7 minutes past the hour. We have partly sunny skies this morning, and temperatures in the low to mid 60s during the early going. We'll get into the low 80s later on today, and maybe a shower or two this afternoon, possibly a thunderstorm. This portion of the show brought to you by Madison Hearing Aid Center. They're at 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison. Madison Hearing Aid Center has fast and flexible appointments. They're helping people change their lives. Their number one goal isn't just selling hearing aids. It's improving the quality of life through better hearing. Check them out, MadisonHearingAidCenter.com.
All right. I found this little headline, and I thought it was interesting. Listen to this.
What is it?
The ancient Egyptian calendar consisted of 12 months, each with 30 days, not 31 every once in a while, followed by, and this is the best part, it's followed by 5 additional days for festivities.
Wait a minute, this is the original, what?
This was the original Egyptian calendar, so I think they had the right idea,
was a
right?
good idea.
Yeah, 30 days each month, 12 months, and then 5 damn days of festivities.
No work, no nothing.
And they don't count because they're not on the calendar.
So cool.
That is so smart. Man, they built the pyramids and they came up with that. That's just like, wow.
For some reason, we ignored that story. They didn't have press like they do now. You know? They should have had internet back then.
Hey, did you know that their Amazon Prime days are going on right now? You knew nothing about this. This is like day 3 of Amazon Prime Day.
I'm dedicated to the
yesterday.
Prime days.
I'm sitting at home, just minding my own business, dozing off in mid-afternoon, like I often do.
Always do.
The TV is blaring away, and knock on the door, and they delivered an Amazon package. I didn't order it. It had my address on it and somebody else's name on it. Yeah. And it was a standing desk. It was a huge package, like a 53-pound thing. And, of course, the guy runs away and jumps in the truck there.
What are you going to do?
I called Amazon. I called them twice. And then I flagged down, and there's Amazon trucks all over the place now. You go out there for 5 or 10 minutes, you flag one down. That's what I did. I said, look what happened here. And I called, and Amazon said, they don't know what's going on. And he said, just keep it. I said, I really? Just keep? You can't take it and do something with it?
Yeah, return.
He said, just keep it. And it's your, and I thought, well, then that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. So then a little later on, another package arrives from UPS. Same thing. A big box with somebody else's name, but my address on it. And so I refused that package because the UPS guy, you can refuse a package. I said, that's not me. I didn't order anything. Yeah. And so late in the evening, about 6:30, 7 o'clock, there's a knock at the door, and this young lady says, I used to live here a few years ago, and I'm moving, and I ordered a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, no.
And you're going to be receiving these packages.
Now she can go to UPS.
So I got her phone number.
That's great.
And I said, well, listen, if they're small pack, I'm just going to leave them in the breezeway there.
But you have the package from Amazon yet, right?
No, she took that too. She ordered that. Yeah.
Well, you get.
So
that.
I was like, okay,
you'll get that back.
So you're gonna come home today, and there's gonna be like 20 packages right outside your door.
That's what I fear. Yeah, but at least I have her phone number now, and she lives somewhere in Madison.
I had that happen to me.
Isn't
recently.
That weird?
I got a little package, and it was there. It was a different name, but my address.
Yeah.
And it sat on the countertop for about a week, and then I managed to flag down the Amazon driver that came up to our house, and I said, I don't want this package. It's not me.
Right.
And he took it, and then the next day I got it back.
Did you keep it then?
Well, I did.
Finders keepers.
I opened the damn thing, and it was, I couldn't believe it, but somebody ordered oregano, dried oregano. Spice in a spice jar.
Okay.
That was it. He actually ordered it online. I'm thinking, you can go anywhere and get oregano.
Yeah.
But whatever. Anyway, they don't know what to do with it. That's
so weird.
A problem with Amazon.
Well, anyway, they're celebrating their Prime days.
good for
I guess
you.
all kinds of free stuff apparently for people during Prime days that you didn't order.
Yeah, there you go.
It's good.
Hey, big John and Gordy, congratulations to Sean Duffy for becoming the interim NASA director.
This is so
He's got
weird.
another department to manage.
Oh, my
because
God.
they're easy. They're easy.
Well, I guess
to manage
he probably
departments.
made model rockets when he was a kid or something, and he
likes
was on their list.
He likes to log roll. He doesn't know
He likes
anything
to
about
log
rockets.
rolling. Well, what do you need to know? What do you really need to know as the administrator?
All right.
You don't know how to administrate.
Maybe he can log roll on a missile in a water pool someplace. You never know. But anyway, congratulations to
Good luck.
to Sean for taking over NASA now.
Yeah.
By the way, his statement.
Yeah.
His statement is, "Let's launch." Jeez.
He worked on that all night long.
I want that on my hat.
Yeah, let's launch.
Oh, God. All right. Well, while we're not on some serious subjects here, some downer,
Okay.
why don't we go to the Daily Show? And they had a little routine here about the Epstein list that no one seems to know about anymore. So let's check this out.
I spoke to top Justice Department officials, and trust me when I say that there's no story here. Jeffrey Epstein did not have a client list. He did not get murdered in prison. He actually never even existed. I'll be at the Dave & Buster's down the street. See you later, Ronnie. Thanks, buddy.
Wait, Costa, hold on. Wait, can you elaborate?
I'd be happy to elaborate. I own the high score on Buck Hunter, and that's a game at Dave & Buster's, which is an adult arcade that I go to after work every day.
No, not that. I mean, they can't just say Jeffrey Epstein didn't exist. We all saw photos of him.
We think we did, but it was just one of those collective false memories. It's like how many Americans believe there was a movie starring Shaquille O'Neal called Shazam. But guess what? There never was a Shaquille O'Neal. And there's no Jeffrey Epstein. See you at Buster's.
Wait. Then whose client list did Pam Bondi have on her desk?
That was all a misunderstanding. It looked like a client list, but you know what it was? It was actually just a list of an old BuzzFeed list of the top 10 Pokemon most likely to help you jumpstart your car. You want to talk scandal? They only have Squirtle at number 7. What is that?
Michael, how can you believe all this?
Ronnie. Let me ask you a question. Do you really think there's a cabal of millionaires out there who have the power to kill Jeffrey Epstein in prison and force the President of the United States to cover it up?
Well, when you say it out loud like that, yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. And I do too, all right? And I want that cabal to know that I'm just a guy with a high score in Buck Hunter who's happy with whatever explanation they want me to believe. I'm good.
So that's it then? We're just going to move on?
Ronnie, there's so many other juicy scandals out there. Have you seen this newly released Diddy client list? Let's check out the names on it. Oh, holy You know what? Turns out this list actually never existed. So.
It must be on it then, I guess.
That's good.
So, yeah. I mean, that's basically what they're trying to tell us. Right?
It never existed.
Yeah, never existed.
Didn't really
at all.
happen.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
what?
Well,
Yeah.
adding more humor to the Wisconsin scene in politics, businessman and another Navy SEAL has thrown his hat into the race, running for governor this time, and it's Bill Berrien. Bill Berrien. Yeah, he's got his own business. Navy SEAL, boy, you know those Navy SEALs. This is the next. This is the next job for most of them is politics for some reason. Let's listen to cut 45 here. Let's listen to his point
President
of view.
Trump is taking back Washington for the American people. Now it's time to take back our state.
The Democratic Party of Wisconsin said Berrien is, quote, rich enough to buy himself some attention and clueless enough to think that's going to work.
That's WPR. They covered this story. Of course, you know, he wants to take back Wisconsin. Yeah,
take it back.
Maybe he's not aware that we had gerrymandered legislature in power for the last 14 years. So I don't know. Taking it back. Okay, yeah, take it back. I don't know.
Where? What?
Yeah, well,
What?
how do you take it back from that? And he, by the way, has other incredible positions here. These are quotes.
Okay.
What he's been doing with tariffs, with securing the border, a whole bunch of these efforts are changing the mix. They are very positive for the country. Yeah, they're changing the mix. What does that mean? What, ethnically? That's my impression of what he just said. With the border, these efforts are changing the mix.
Sounds like he's just talking to talk.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, maybe.
He's also supported Trump's decisions to call up the California National Guard over the objection of the state's Democratic governor. So, well, if he's going to be governor, well, maybe the president can come in here and call up the National Guard without his permission.
Yeah,
I don't think he's thinking any of this through.
Doesn't sound like
this guy. Another crazy lunatic running for governor, and we haven't heard yet whether, Governor Evers is going to run again.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make that announcement right after the budget deal was done. Is
keeping us in suspense?
I guess so.
Now, the whole thing here is they always have on the Marquette University poll, and Dan Shaver's been covering that. But here's the thing. There's a wrinkle in that. There are so many Democrats who support Evers running again, that it actually throws it into Governor Evers' favor.
Okay.
Because there are a whole bunch of Republicans that don't want him to run again. Like 97% of Republicans don't want him to run because they're worried. And of course, there's like 90% of the Democrats want to see him run again. And then the independents, you throw them in, and that puts him over the top. And according to the Marquette University poll, apparently Governor Evers at this point, according to this current poll, is ahead of Scott Walker at his midpoint, where he ran again and won, despite the fact that he completely failed at running for president. It was a disaster, and yet he still won re-election.
So does Tony Evers really want to run, though? That's number one on my list. And who would he be running against? We have no idea, right? Do we have any idea?
No, we don't. I don't think there's going to be a challenger for Governor Evers.
Really?
But there might be.
Not at all?
There's quite a lot of people that could run, but we'll keep you updated on it.
Okay. Coming back with more of John and Gordy in the morning after this.
What's up? Okay. Hi, Brittany.
Good morning.
We're kind of disappointed with the loss of a morning show up in Green Bay.
Right? Yeah. Oh, you scared me for a minute. I was like,
No, they're
Yeah,
stuck with
pretty-
us, sadly.
It's
good. Good.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a shock.
Yeah, well, thanks. What are you
We'll
wearing
talk
today?
some other time. So Yeah, what do you have on?
What do you have
there?
on today?
That's what
Oh,
we
it's
always
like a
want to know.
newspaper kind of clipping shirt of some sort.
Oh, cool. Okay. Or just wear news clippings.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We'll hold better
Mike's-
together.
Mike's coming on.
It's good news week. Someone's dropped a bomb somewhere, contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's good news week. Doctors finding many ways of wrapping brains in metal trays to keep us from the heat.
WMDX, John and Gordy in the morning, 92.7.
Sunshine this morning, maybe a little rain this afternoon. Highs in the low 80s. Right now, 64 degrees. This portion of the show brought to you by Verlo Mattress. They have a sale going on adjustable bed frames. You should check it out before this sale ends. Unbelievable discounts of 30 to 50% off. And you might even save $200 on your purchase of the V9 adjustable base. Check it out, Verlo.com, or check them out on the east side or west side. That's Verlo.com.
You can drive that bed frame right out of the store.
I imagine they could try.
Yeah,
I
try
don't
it.
know if it
No, it's great. You
can
know,
be
I mean,
done.
you will never regret having an adjustable bed frame. Ever. And you know what we did was we got twins. We got two twins, put them together.
Yeah.
So, you know, each of us could adjust the bed
Nice.
frame the way we want.
You and Ann, your wife.
Yes, with
Not
Ann.
talking about John and Gordy. Just clear.
I was questioning for a second there. What's
People
going
were
on?
raising their eyebrows. Doesn't work like that.
I did not think of that, but okay. Maybe it came across like
We're only here for 2 hours, 6 to 8 a.m. Then we don't talk to each other for the other 22 hours or see each other or have any contact with each other.
Well, that's
Just
not
to
true.
be clear.
We run into each other at Walmart parking
Occasionally,
lots.
yes, Walmart. Okay.
All right.
Hey, it's weather time.
It is weather
Let's
time.
move quickly along here to Brittany Merlot. Good morning, Brittany. How are things
that was
in
such
Wausau?
a good conversation.
Just wanted to be really clear.
right. Things are
Okay.
cloudy up here. You got a little
Oh.
bit of sun though, right? So
Yes,
that's
we
good.
do. It's really nice and sunny up there today.
Yes. It's beautiful.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So we've got a warm front on the way, in case you were wondering.
Oh,
I was wondering,
moving.
yes.
great.
Pretty slowly, though, through the state, which could create a little bit of problems because, well, first, it could maybe some rain showers this afternoon. But then by this evening, good chance for some thunderstorms sparking up along that front, barely moving, which means we could see some heavy rainfall in places. And it could happen pretty fast. So that's possibly tonight. We don't stop this risk tomorrow either because now we're in that hot, warm air mass with all the moisture and instability. So chances for more showers and storms throughout tomorrow. And then by Saturday morning and into the afternoon, a cold front sweeps through and sparks up even more showers and storms. So
Wow.
we've got a wet next few days. If you didn't cut the grass today or yesterday, you're going to have to wait until Sunday.
I cut it the day before yesterday, so I'm good. How about you, John?
Good.
We cut it yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks
Perfect.
great.
Okay, you guys are on track. Yay.
Well,
Good
thank
shape.
you. Thank you, Brittany,
Excellent.
for that advice.
Brittany, we're wondering
Yeah.
your T-shirt this morning. People who are watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever they're watching, they're saying, "What is that?"
Yeah.
On your shirt. What is it?
It's a pretty cool shirt. So it's basically newspaper clippings in a sense, kind of patched all together. And obviously, this is a creative, cool shirt for someone in news to wear. But
It
it's
is.
a trend
It is
too,
very
right?
cool. I like
Double
Perfect
win.
sense.
Is it local news or is it just
are they
national?
real articles or do you?
Well,
No?
we'll just pretend they're local, real art now.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I wish.
All right. Well, that's great. Now I'm thinking about getting one myself. So,
Yeah.
boy,
should
you
make
are a
some.
trendsetter.
You are.
Oh, thanks.
So, someday we'll have to zip line together.
Again, what you do on your own time is your business.
Aw. think they have
Brittany,
some
thank
zip
you.
lines in Minocqua. We should go. Seriously.
Yes, see, we should.
Zip lines in Minocqua.
We'll make a whole
Gordy
social
would
media
love it.
reel, put it on the social medias. Everybody can watch it and laugh at us. It'll be great.
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I think that would work.
Yes.
Right?
All right, Brittany, thank you.
All right,
Bye,
Brittany.
Have a great
guys.
day.
Okay.
You too.
It's Brittany Merlot, our civic media meteorologist. Okay.
right.
Got
Well,
a couple of minutes here.
I've got something here, kind of short and all that stuff. I want you to cue up cut 33 if you can. I just recently found some glass frames that I really like.
Yeah.
You know, finally the arms are a little bit longer for me, which, you know, helps them stay on my head. But anyway, I found these things. But, you know, I'm hesitant only because there are new glasses out there that are really helping people out. Let's listen to this. This is the Google XR.
I just tested out glasses that look like regular glass frames that have run on Android XR. And I am one of the biggest skeptics when it comes to this stuff, and I will genuinely admit I was blown away. This is amazing. I've never tried like glasses like this before. I am genuinely blown away. Even from the beginning, the first thing I saw was the time and the weather, and it was just on the right side of my glasses. I could see it. I could see clearly through my glasses. Then I was able to take a photo with the glasses and see a little thumbnail pop up, but I could see through the picture to the real world. I'm having trouble explaining because I was genuinely just blown away by this. There's also Gemini on the glasses, so then I'm able to look at the things around me. There were a couple like reproductions of paintings on the wall, and I had Gemini talk me through what that reproduction was and how much the original actual painting is worth. And one of the coolest things is I got to pull up Google Map directions on my glasses. And all of a sudden I felt like a video game character, and I have this circular view of Google Maps. And as I move around, it's moving around with me. And
weird.
Yeah, I'm blown away.
Yeah.
When did all this stuff come out? We don't know. This is all new stuff. Next time I get glasses, if they ask me if I want blue coating for my lenses, I'll probably say yes. If they ask me if I want to put Gemini in my glasses,
yes,
I'm probably going to say yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't that wild
That is
stuff?
cool, yeah.
That is really cool. And I want it here on the program. So, you know, when we're talking about stuff, all I have to do is, I wonder what this would, and it would just
pop up
appear on my glasses, and I'll know exactly. I'll be the genius in the room. By the way,
I don't know about that. It's going to help you that much.
We were talking about EVs earlier, and I just want to bring this up. We got a text here. Hey, John, get an additional $1,000 off from Costco. My place,
Really?
I live there,
Yeah.
on certain EV models, which I got on the Equinox EV. So I should have checked that out. Yeah.
All right. It is 7:29. Coming up right around the corner, attorney Jim Santel will give us some legal updates on what's going on the Supreme Court and elsewhere.
I want to thank Bob from Oconomowoc for that tip
Yes,
on costume.
thank you, Bob. Coming right back with more of John and Gordy.
I almost turned your mic on there.
Dom, can you hear me?
All right.
There you go.
Jim.
Let's not
Yes.
talk about
Jim, I'm looking at the big picture. You know, I always look at the big picture. You know how, the
It's a good
Chevron
thing to do.
doctrine. The Chevron doctrine kind of freaked me out forever, and I'm still, trying to deal with that. But I look at the big picture, and the Supreme Court decision to give Trump carte blanche to overrule the legislative branch of the government. Am I wrong on this? Is there something going on here that we should all be really worried about?
Well, it's it's a combination of many things, and unfortunately, the language of this on both sides gets very political too, right? So you get, we agree with the governor. It's just supposed to. We agree with justice. On the other side, you've got one of the dissenters. I think it's Rebecca Bradley saying progressives like to protest kings unless it is one of their own making. There's a lot of politics going on here. I think that's fairly clear. On the other hand, I think you're onto something when it comes to the Chevron concept.
No, it's the Supreme Court in D.C.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about
letting the president fire and
right.
remove departments.
Both of them, right?
Yes.
Take your pick about which court, right? Yeah.
But I agree with you on the Rebecca Bradley thing is just so weird because she loves it when it's. She doesn't like kings and she doesn't like the judiciary becoming a king, but at the same time, they love having Republicans become kings.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're right. And the federal Supreme Court, the other part of this. Here we go once again. Add this to the list. This is another emergency application.
Yeah.
We've got basically the
shadow docket.
No explanation for it. Go ahead and fire all these folks who had that continues. It's a real problem. And,
it is.
Apparently, I was doing some teaching, and I said, "Well, now the Supreme Court is done now." Turns out they're not, and they're just going to go into the summer and do more of this. So it's really very concerning. And again, my tone sounds defeatist, but it really is just the latest. You got that.
Well, let's get into that. We. Because unless you have other things and cases you want to bring up too. Okay, let's get to those. Yeah.
What is this thing with Bob from McFarland saying wasn't the budget signed at 1:30 a.m.?
That was our budget.
Okay, that was our budget, but was that...
They signed it in the middle of the night.
Last night, or this happened a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
No, maybe last week.
Yeah, it was last week. And he did that because he needed to get our budget done before the federal budget got done, or we would lose monies, and so
so they signed the budget late,
stuff,
early in the morning, and then he signed it, and he had to go through the whole budget in order to make some vetoes, which he did make.
I see.
So, but they got that done.
Government, go figure, right?
I know.
Maybe it's an argument for anarchy in the end. Maybe not. Just at least
maybe
you've got unpredictability in the unpredictability, right? So let it all rip, right?
Just let it rip and start all over again.
Right. Eventually, you may crawl out of our caves again, but not for a while.
All right, I'm going to turn you guys' mics off.
Okay.
Got about a minute.
Sounds good.
Stop this conversation.
WMDX, John and Gordy in the morning, and we hope you're having a good one on this beautiful, sunny morning in Madison. 92.7 on your radio dial, and check us out on the Civic Media app as well, anywhere in the world, and text us as well in voice note.
Looking good right outside our window, overlooking State Street. Beautiful sunshine, a little hazy, or a little bit of cloud cover. We might get some rain later today, highs in the low 80s.
The sidewalk buffer just went by,
Did it?
So now the sidewalks are nice and shiny and slippery, by the way.
Just look out for that.
Don't want it to rain anytime soon at this point.
No. Hey, you could win a pair of Brewers tickets from John and Gordy. In fact, you could sit with us at a game. The game we're talking about is a Cubs-Brewers game on Tuesday, July 29th. And we have premium seats, club-level seats. So it'll be you and John and Gordy, along with a friend of yours, you plus one, and John and Gordy on these club-level seats. It's easy to enter. Just go to WMDXradio.com and look for the banner at the top of the page talking about the Brewers and Cubs and John and Gordy. Special thanks to our giveaway sponsor, Downgrins Distilling, because they're going to provide, the goods to be able to have some food and drinks on us as well. So you get the tickets, you get the food and drinks, and you get to sit next to us at the Brewers and Cubs game, July 29th. It's a Tuesday evening.
All I'm saying
What?
is
What?
I'm a little.
You're a little messy.
I'm a little messy with the ketchup.
Well, mustard too.
Yeah. So
No
it's
good with mustard.
it's going to be a little dangerous next to us. I'm sure that you'll probably want to find a seat someplace else.
Are you just saying that because you like to sit alone? Is that it?
Maybe I'll sit alone.
Maybe you should. Now, Ann is coming, too. She's a big Cubs fan. I'm a big Cubs fan. You know, the Cubs are on top of the National League Central.
I'm going to
They're
find a
doing
seat
great.
next to Bob Uecker, the statue they
way
have up
there.
in the
Way-
stands.
Oh, way up. Yeah.
All
Back
right.
row. Okay.
Well, let's get to our special guest this
Yes.
morning, as usual,
Mhm.
Jim Santel, Amicus, the Law Review. You can listen to it on Saturday morning, 9 to 11 o'clock. He's got a lot of stuff to talk about, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff right now.
Yeah.
And that is that the federal Supreme Court has said that Trump can do anything he wants. He can overrule the legislative branch no matter what. You know, he can get rid of departments and fire people. Jim, tell me this isn't our biggest nightmare. Tell me.
It depending upon how our own individual lives may play out, it may well be our most significant administrative and constitutional nightmare as well. You got it just right. We've got this whole series of opinions, almost too numerous to inventory. For example, you've got the Supreme Court again. All these things, by the way, here's the other point. All of these being issued on this show called Shadow Docket without an explanation. We talked about this previously. We've got the Musk team, access to all your Social Security Administration. Remember ending that humanitarian program that kept about 500,000 immigrants from being deported who are facing war and political turmoil back in their own countries, and removing the leaders of some 2 independent agencies, all of that. And now we've got this. Tuesday was a big day. At Tuesday, the Supreme Court once again, shadow docket, no explanation other than the fact that the majority, it's an interesting majority, says that the government is likely to succeed in its argument that the president's executive powers are in fact there, and he's got the right to downsize the government. All that's legal. But we don't get any more description. We don't get an explanation for that. And basically, it is a green light for him to go ahead and do all that. You may recall that, again, he did this a number of months ago when he basically said all agencies get up and running, prepare to downsize dramatically. Here, the Supreme Court has now said, sure, you can go ahead and do that. And again, the big issue here, for purposes of those of us who like transparency, and I know all your listeners do as well, we don't have an explanation for it. We do have one dissenter, and her name is Ketanji Brown Jackson. And she says it's truly unfortunate. It's hubris, it's senseless, and it undercuts the authority of trial judges. But so this is a 9-1 non-decision. Interestingly, the other 2 other so-called liberals are playing with the majority here. But and who knows? My first reaction was maybe they're just exhausted with the fight, right? You know, at some point this does become just overwhelming.
And I think so. I have a quote from Jackson here. It is warned that such an executive action promises mass employee terminations, widespread cancellation of federal programs and services, and the dismantling of much of the federal government as Congress has created it.
Right.
So that's the end of the government. Yeah.
As you
that's
said, a congressional action, they put in place things like, the Department of Education, and the president issues directives to his secretary basically to shut it down. All these other agencies, USAID, the names, again, are too numerous even to list here. And this is a very broad non-decision saying, go ahead and do what you want. And it should be a source of great concern, especially since, as we were talking in the break, we kind of thought we were done with all of this a couple of weeks ago at the end of the significant portion of their term. Apparently, they're more than happy to come in and do even more of it. So we'll see what the summer brings as well.
Well, we got a text here from Kerry mentioned that Congress has no power and is not an equal branch of government anymore, essentially. And not only that, but I just also want to warn you, too, because the guy in control of all the purse strings on this is the guy who came up with Project 2025. It's Russell Vogt. He's in charge of Office of Personnel Management, so OPM. And he's going to obviously take advantage of this. This is what they've been trying to do for so many years, and that's why they put so many of these cases or these ideas in front of the Supreme Court, because they know they've got a very welcoming bunch of justices to play into this. And this has been their ideology for years, by the way. So it's nothing new.
Absolutely. Again, depending upon your particular perspective, at a minimum, and it's not an entirely bad thing. We know that Bill Clinton attempted and did do some things to reduce government. This has been the mantra of Democrats and Republicans. We have to have a smaller government. Doing it this way, however, in violation of, as you said, basic constitutional and statutory and congressional mandates, that's not the way to do it. Ketanji Brown Jackson is onto something. OPM, absolutely. I worked for the government. OPM was the big agency out there, having to do everything related to personnel, hiring, firing, promotions. They have to not pass on all that, but they're the ones who administratively handle all that. And the fellow who's in charge of that now, I'm sure, is delighted by this decision on Tuesday and saying, here we go. Let's begin now. Let's begin now, as if we haven't done this in the past, really to go after all these agencies.
Well, I can't believe that Kagan and who's the
Sotomayor.
other one? Sotomayor went along with this. What's the deal with that? I just don't get that at all.
Right, and Gordy, that then that underscores too. Okay, we don't know that answer either. Why? Because they're hiding under this simple one-sentence statement that he's likely to win on the merits when this case gets litigated further, which is another part of the docket, another part of the problem. And we don't know that either. We've got Ketanji Brown Jackson explaining her position. Typically, in these cases, the others I mentioned, the other two do weigh in, or at least join each other's opinions and say, no, I agree with her. But here, again, it is curious. And the other reason it's so curious is because this one's very, very broad. This is not, just specific to an agency or a particular program, which is equally problematic as those things happen. This one is basically, again, OPM, John, as you just said, take your pick and go ahead and find federal employees and decide to chop away. It is not specific, and it's part of Ketanji Brown Jackson's objection. It's not specific as to agency mission and purpose, and absent that, how are courts to decide this? But we've got two of the others here. Well, actually, we've got 8 of the others who look at that and say, no problem, go ahead, Mr. President, do what you would like.
One of the things that we're looking at here is kind of a war on the Supreme Court bench, which I didn't anticipate. We mentioned this on the program a few days ago, and it wasn't just this case, but other cases as well, where, the actual 3 liberals are starting to step out there and say things publicly that they really disagree with. And I think, we didn't anticipate the Supreme Court having this dispute within the court itself. And with that, I think, we're going to get some interesting stories, and we're going to get some interesting perspectives on all of these decisions. I think they're going to be in the forefront, basically, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. And they're going to grab headlines, right? And again, there have always been times when the minority, whatever that is, has taken umbrage and objected to what the majority has said. You're absolutely right. Most notably, we've got this sparring between Ketanji Brown Jackson and Amy Coney Barrett in this case, the most significant of the term, I believe, having to do once again with not just birthright citizenship, but national universal injunctions. And they go after each other back and forth. And Amy Coney Barrett names Ketanji Brown Jackson by name in her majority opinion, which is very seldom happens. We've always had disagreements. That's okay. Now we're dropping the I respectfully dissent to simply say things like I dissent, or with great sadness, with profound concern about the democracy, the republic, I vehemently dissent. And so the vitriol is increasing. Maybe we do need a bit of summer to bring that down a bit.
No,
everybody take a break.
Sometime off, and they're not going to take a break. They're still going to, rule on these immediate cases on the shadow docket anyway. But, there's even talk on the right now to get rid of Ketanji Brown Jackson because she is stepping out too often for them.
Right.
She's speaking out too often, which I think has tinges of racial animus.
Overtones.
Right,
Overtones,
and
yeah.
you know she is the and also one of the 4 women, right, on the court. And,
Yes, there we go.
They've
Yeah.
also not gone without their criticism. Even before this happened, we know, and again, an awful lot of people look at that decision authored by Amy Coney Barrett that does in fact prohibit national jurisdictions and injunctions rather, and say, gosh, maybe this was her attempt to make good again with that part of the electorate that was critical of her for sometimes siding with the liberals. Now she's back in our camp. You know, this the politicization of the court, not a good thing, not a good thing at the federal level, not a good thing at the state level either. And the sparring continues, and the language is heightened undeniably. And is that helpful? I'm thinking probably not.
Talking with Jim Santel, attorney at law. And Jim, what about, let's turn to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. They're siding with Tony Evers and confirming administrative rule authority in the dispute over LGBTQ conversion therapy ban. Talk about this.
That's right.
Tell us more about
There's
it.
some kind of committee that's taking control over the govor.
Yeah,
essentially.
Right. Exactly. And again, this is one of those, it's sort of like the national injunction issue too. On the surface, it seems to be about banning conversion therapy, which is the governor wanted to do. He wanted to do that by rule of an administrative agency, right?
Yep,
That's the
yep.
rulemaking authority that we were talking about before. It again has shades of previous legal concepts out there. And what happens is that the legislature's Joint Committee for Review of Administrative Rules blocked that ban from taking effect and used the political maneuver of legislative authority to keep that rule shelved. That is banning the conversion therapy that otherwise would be a part of the executive branch's decision making. Supreme Court again comes out, and a majority opinion written by Jill Karofsky says that this process whereby the legislature has basically usurped the right of the governor cannot stand. A couple of reasons for that, and we've got an important constitutional decision once again.
Yeah. We'll
Jim
be back
Santel.
with more, Jim.
Stay with us. Jim Santel will continue the conversation with John and Gordy in just a moment.
Yeah, that's like I think I don't know. I think the legislature still might have a way to, do this, write a law.
Right, exactly. Right. Gosh, there's an idea, right? Schoolhouse Rock, right?
Yeah.
You want to do something, and that was the real problem with this, and I can explain it more on the other side here. But you want to pass legislation that banning conversion therapy or somehow supports it. It's not a good idea. As we know, the underlying issue, I think every major medical association on the face of the planet has thought that this notion of somehow converting LGBT youth in particular, but even adults, is hooey. It just doesn't medically supported. But you want to do something, pass a law. And the problem was in the end that you've got this committee that basically does it. I can do a little bit of wonky civics here about a thing called bicameralism and presentment, and that's basically you got to have 2 houses of the legislature to say yes. Governor's got to sign it. Absent that, this agency's got rulemaking authority, and you're out of luck. And then you got the language, as they say, from the other side that is pretty...
That was during the lame duck session where they took that control away. Right. So. And then the Supreme Court of the land basically took it away from Congress. So now they're trying it on the state level, or at least they did try it. We always we preceded this big mess that Trump had, with Scott Walker.
Right,
they tried a lot of this stuff prior to Trump getting in.
Right.
So,
and, you can, and I do, and I suspect you and most of your listeners do as well, you can fault the substance of it. high marks for organization. I mean, one of the things of the playbook, right, that you sit down today and you're planning what we're going to do 5-10 years from now. This is the criticism, frankly, of the other side, that they don't have that playbook. Here you got a situation. Let's try this out. See if this works. If it does, well, then maybe it's got some legs. We'll move into the federal government. If it doesn't, then we learn from that. But there's a sense of commitment to a future. Again, I don't mean that in a positive way, substantively. But again, high marks for coming up with creative ideas, testing them out, and then going down that road.
Yeah. I got another case here, so we'll take a quick look at that.
Okay.
All right, mic's off.
I got to do Madison hearing aid.
That's where we're at, It's John and Gordy in the morning, the WMDX 92.7.
Good looking morning. We might get some rain, though, this afternoon. Maybe a thunderstorm, too. Highs in the low 80s. Pardon me. Right now, 64 degrees. This portion of John and Gordy in the morning brought to you by Madison Hearing Aid Center. Check out their website, MadisonHearingAidCenter.com. You can do a free hearing test right there and set up an appointment. They have fast and flexible appointments. They're helping people change their lives, not just by selling hearing aids. It's also improving the quality of your life through better hearing. Madison Hearing Aid Center, 4706 Cottage Grove Road in Madison. Go to MadisonHearingAidCenter.com for more information.
Right, and the show is dedicated to the big congratulations to Sean Duffy for becoming the interim director of
NASA. Why not? I mean, why not? What do you need to know?
You've got a limited number of jobs in the federal government. You've got a limited number of cabinet officials. You know, Marco Rubio is taking over the archives. He's the archivist. So everybody should have a couple of assignments to keep them busy on weekends.
Right.
Not doing their regular jobs. Right?
Isn't he head of
I think the Library of Congress as well, and other. Right?
And I think what is it? The aid.
USAID,
yes.
USAID
as well.
Right, folded into the State Department.
Whatever's left of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So lots of work. He's not getting any sleep at all anymore. We should be concerned about that. He's got too many things to do. And of course, the 344 million people in the nation, we plainly do not have enough human beings to handle all these positions, so necessarily need to make multiple
Well, they
assignments.
thought he had a lot of flexibility since he could log roll and stuff like that. So,
Sean Duffy.
He's right out there.
Man of many talents.
Yeah. Another big case, kind of a big case, unusual. The Supreme Court yesterday upheld a lower court's injunction preventing Florida from enforcing a law that criminalizes undocumented immigrants for entering their state. That's, I think, a kind of a big decision because it seems to contradict a little bit the power that the 6 conservative justices are giving to the administration. Right.
And again, the reason why this is significant, again, is just that. You get it here for reasons, again, that we don't know about. The Supreme Court says we're not going to touch this particular matter. And a lot of it has to do, I'm sure, with voting internally. The reason why, obviously, is immigration. It's obviously states engaging in issues that are typically within the ambit of the federal government. Immigration, we tend to forget in the Constitution. This is James Madison stuff. Supreme Court saying, no, we're going to keep our hands off of this. And also sending a message that, again, there are more than a few states that have done just this. And so this has a dramatic impact beyond just the Supreme Court here saying we're not going to take up this state's action. Everybody else has got to take a look at this too and think, I wonder if we are also running afoul of some basic principles here.
Yeah, but it's their issue. The immigration issue is the Republican issue, the MAGA issue, and when you take a little piece away, it might anger some of the MAGAs out there, and maybe even Trump at this point. Although Trump is not really on board with a lot of things, only because he doesn't know about them. So, it's just amazing, isn't it?
It is. It involves, frankly, all of us have difficulty from time to time keeping all of this straight and what the theory is here. It's applied differently in this case. There doesn't seem to be, with due respect to justices out there, a great deal of consistency. You can find not a lot of through lines in some of these cases, but even so, for those who can, in fact, follow the basics on this, some fundamental principles. We talked about one of them before the break, which is Congress makes the laws. The executive branch is supposed to do what? Execute on them, right?
Yes.
Right? And not to be this, again, this is the big one, undeniably. We've seen this for the past 5, almost 6 months now. A president who is so proud to put his name on those executive orders, that's legislating. And that's not what the founding fathers, to the extent that you are committed to the founding fathers and fundamental principles, that's not the way it's supposed to work. And typically presidents have done that when they've been frustrated in immigration areas when the Congress doesn't act. Here, we're not even letting the Congress act. Not that they would anyway, but they're too busy apparently shutting down Medicaid and other things like that. But the issue, the larger issue of separation of powers, who does what, and then you get to the larger issue, which we've talked about as well, which is we've got a Supreme Court. All these issues we've talked about in the areas this morning, other places, you have to ask yourself, why is it that the Supreme Court is deciding on all of these things? Shouldn't that be the legislature? We elect those folks to make these policy decisions. And it's because the other branch, one of them is overreaching, the other one is not acting at all. And in that chasm, in that emptiness, Supreme Court steps in and says, okay, we'll decide on environment and education and commerce and labor and all these other things. That's not the way it's supposed to be. We've gotten used to it now, but it's not the way it's supposed to be. Under any administration, this is not being critical of just Donald Trump. This is not the way it's supposed to be.
You absolutely nailed it on that, and it's become normalized as well. But the House, the Senate, they have just given up. They have ceded their power to the president, and this is going to come back to haunt them as soon as there's a Democratic president in power.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all of this is going to come back. And, one of the things I heard on Stephanie Miller the other day, and I thought this was kind of interesting, talking about the wildfires in California, right? Mm-hmm. And he wants to comb those forests. He wants to comb them. But, these are federal forests. And that would take federal dollars, not state dollars in California. So, there's all these contradictions.
And it all goes on. Jim Santel, thank you for joining us. Always appreciate it. And you can listen to Jim Santel's show, Amicus, a law review, every Saturday on the Civic Media Radio Network from 9 to 11 a.m. All right. We'll talk to him next Thursday. That's it for us today. Coming up tomorrow, Rocker in the studio with a MaxSync preview, also Savannah Tomei Olson, and a whole lot more. Join us tomorrow. So long.
All right. See you later, everybody. In my new EV.
John and Gordy Show.
Gentlemen,
all right.
Good to see you.
Jim.
Have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you,
Jim.
Jim.
Nothing